everybody, and welcome to I Can't Believe It's Not News, your favorite podcast about fake news. I'm Beth.
And I'm Kelly.
Hey, Kelly. How you doing today?
I am doing just fine, Beth. How about you?
You know, we had such a fun time on our last episode with having Elizabeth on and doing the review of everything and our favorite conspiracy theories. I really loved that episode. I hope everybody else did too.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I loved actually getting to meet Elizabeth, even though we weren't in the same room. We could see each other on video chat. So that was really nice.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So just for our listeners, so you know, like what we do is we video chat while we're recording so that we can see each other. And sometimes it helps us to not talk over each other. Other times,
sometimes
not so much. But so that we can actually see each other and then we can hear each other in our headphones. So we actually had all three of us on the call and it was really cool. I didn't know you could do that with Facebook Messenger, but you totally can.
Yeah. And it worked really well.
Yeah. So I think coming up, maybe we'll see if our guests are comfortable with that because it's just so much better to see the person when you're talking to them, see their reactions.
For sure.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope everybody liked it because I just thought it was really fun to go over everything. And it was just like kind of like a walk back through. And now I guess we are like teething toddlers because we're past our first year.
Right.
And we're on our legs.
I hope that we're not. We're on our way to the terrible twos, you guys.
Oh no.
We're going to get there.
But
fine.
Isn't it like 1 year in podcast years? Isn't that like, I don't know, like 30 years?
Feels like it. It feels like it.
I wonder what that...
Not because of podcast years. I think it's just what is in Trump adjusted terms.
Yeah, exactly.
It feels like 30 years.
So there's two things there. There's Trump adjusted terms. And then there's like, I wonder how long like an average podcast actually lasts, you know, like if you average it out, like, like how long they actually usually go. Like a year is probably like a lot for a lot of podcasts. So, you know, it's like 30 years.
Yeah. And a lot of them do seasons where they'll take breaks or, you know, they might have one particular subject. Like I just listened to, what did I just listen to? Oh, the new season of, I think it's In the Dark or Up and Vanished. But
In the Dark. Is it In the Dark? Because I've been dying to listen to it and I'm a little bit behind on podcasts right now. And I know I have at least 2 episodes waiting. Ooh, I might have to listen to that tonight.
There's only 2 so far. It's so good.
You know, I loved the first season of In the Dark. It was so good. So good. So I'm really excited for the second season.
Yeah, because it's not just a true crime sort of, it wasn't just a true crime podcast. It didn't feel like that. It was, obviously it was based in true crime, but it went into all the mechanisms of failure that happened along the way. It wasn't just, here, we're going to tell you the story of this child who vanished one day. We're going to tell you how this actually happened. And then the fact that that everything broke.
Yeah.
Right in the middle of them doing it was pretty amazing.
I know. And I guess for our listeners that haven't heard it, In the Dark is a series podcast about the first season they did the disappearance of Jacob. Is it Weatherling from Minnesota?
Weatherling?
Yeah, he was kidnapped. And they had, while they were making the podcast, the person who did it was actually arrested and confessed in court. And like, so the case was actually resolved while they were already doing the podcast. So it was really, really good. And they took a really deep look into like how come it took like, what was it, 26 years to solve the case or something like that. And how the police, like just, they looked into the investigation and what the police did and what they didn't do. And it was just really, really good. And the reporting was just amazing. And I can't wait to hear the second season. I hope it's as good. So yeah, but we're not like that.
It's been really, really good.
We don't take breaks.
Yeah.
Kelly, we don't get breaks. We don't get time off for research. We do an episode every 2 weeks.
We don't. Yes.
So we just keep going. We just keep rolling as long as we can. And in podcast years, that'll maybe in another 60 years, you know?
Sure. Let's, I think that's only 2 more years.
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
yes,
Beth,
Kelly.
I I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but do you remember that podcast that we did? It was the very first one I did with you, and we watched the documentary Trumping Democracy, and we talked about Cambridge Analytica and dark Facebook posts and how all of that affected the elections of 2016. I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but apparently
I've actually been living in a hole. So please tell me what's going on.
So apparently we were right. The Cambridge Analytica was doing some shady stuff. And honestly, I mean, the people who made Trumping Democracy were right. We just were livid about it when we talked about it.
So apparently, if we watch something, we then become the owners of the information. Is that how that works?
Well, we did. Yeah, we connected some dots. We made some assumptions and illusions that turned out to maybe possibly be true.
We broadcasted it into the air for people to listen to.
Exactly. Exactly. We said, hey, we think that this might be shady. And it turns out
it was.
It kind of is. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard some things about some things going on and some people asking the question, to Facebook or not to Facebook? That is the question.
Yes, indeed. Indeed. So is Facebook fake news, Beth? What do you think?
Is Facebook fake news? Or is Facebook fake about their association with Cambridge Analytica? Or is Cambridge Analytica fake news to Facebook? Ooh, so many different questions that we could ask.
Yeah.
Let's see here. What do you think? What's going on? Did you find any articles to pull?
I did. So this just recently, Mark Zuckerberg admitted that fake news was spread on Facebook and that it was a real issue. And at this, can you believe it? We've only been saying it for years.
30 years.
I mean, 30 years, right? 30 years. So they have something called an F8 conference where he speaks to Facebook users live about the upcoming year's plans. And he talked about what they're going to do to fight fake news, spammers, divisive bots, all those things that were going on in 2016. And they're still in large part happening right now. And so there was an article on CNET. Zuckerberg doubles down on Facebook's fight against fake news and data misuse. And the quote from Zuckerberg says, "There's no guarantee that we get this right. We will make mistakes and there will be consequences and we will need to fix them. But what I can guarantee is if we don't work on this, the world isn't moving in this direction by itself."
Okay.
And I think that's right. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of push from people other than, like we are obviously doing this every 2 weeks. And there are institutes that are set up. I mean, there are ways in which I think he's correct that there's not a lot of social media push to stop the fake news because there's not a lot of stuff going on outside. But still, I see people like Vanessa Otero, who did the media bias chart. There's Fact Check.
There's factcheck.org, PolitiFact, PunditFact. There's Pointer.
Snopes has been doing it forever.
There's Media Bias Fact Check. There's a gazillion things. I will say I'm going to reach out to Mark Zuckerberg and see if he wants to come on the podcast, see if he wants to be our next guest. Yeah.
Let's do it. I mean, why not, right?
He only has 2 billion followers or something. So he'd be a good
Whatever. I've got 100.
Yeah. So I've had a hard time being super critical of Facebook just because my goodness, it's not like they started this with a nefarious plan, and they were like, oh, we want fake news to be rampant, so we're going to make that happen. And I did watch, there was a video link on one of the articles that we'd pulled. I think it's one of the articles that I pulled, but I watched, it was an interview with him on CNN. And he talked about how, with Cambridge Analytica, that they had asked that, once they found out about it, they asked for all the data to be deleted and everything. And they asked for a guarantee in writing that had been done. And they gave that to them. And he's like, we shouldn't have trusted them. And going forward, we're not going to. We're going to do a forensic audit to make sure that it was actually done. But I feel and maybe he's lying or maybe he's misrepresenting how fast they reacted. But it sounds like they reacted in a responsible manner and tried to take care of the issue when they found out about it. And I just feel like I can't sit here and be like, Facebook is the problem just because they didn't foresee this massive issue that they would have to solve years down the road, you know?
Right. Well, I totally agree. And one of the issues that I think, one of the things I take issue with is the flippancy of some of his remarks during that congressional hearing. And while it's true, he is correct that all this information that was gathered by Cambridge Analytica from the My Digital Life app, all of that information that was gathered was given voluntarily. It was given by people voluntarily and placed online. No one sucked that information out of their private servers or anything like that. I do understand that, but the flippancy of the way he said that it really strikes me as, you really don't care about the individual user. You only care about the numbers that you can project to get your advertising money.
Right.
Because it's so, it's such a way of saying, well, you brought this on yourself. It's so victim blamey to me to be like, well, you put this information out there.
Well, I have two comments here, because one is that it didn't just take that information. It took the information of the friends of the people who took the quiz. And second,
right.
Okay, actually I have three things to say. Sorry. The second one is that those ocean tests that we talked about in the episode, Data and Trumping Democracy, that's not information that's readily available. This is building a profile on you, like a psychological profile of what you're going to click on. That's not something you can get from the State Department. I'm sorry, no. And then third, I didn't watch his testimony. I only watched the bad lip reading version of it. So, which I highly recommend, and you should definitely put that on the blog because it is hilarious. So I might not necessarily understand the flippancy of his comments because they were more like, I need to get my Mordor ring before we start. It's so funny, Kelly. If you haven't seen it, you have to watch it.
I'll have to go watch it. I have not seen it, but the Mordor ring doesn't seem very far off the mark.
So let me ask you a question. What from the information that you read, like, what are they going to do going forward to protect our data more carefully? So like when the next nefarious firm like Cambridge Analytica pops up, they can't just mine our personal information.
So according to that article from CNET, what they're claiming that they're going to be doing is Facebook has said it stopped working with third-party data providers like Acxiom and Experian to help marketers target ads at Facebook users. So Facebook is going to approve all apps that request access to information, like when you're checking in someplace or you're putting up photos or you're liking certain pages, even things in events and groups. It's going to be approving all the apps that interact with Facebook in order to do that. So like if you're checking in through, let's do a really big throwback and say Foursquare. Do you remember Foursquare? So if you were checking in with that, what it sounds like to me is it sounds like the way that Apple has to approve all the apps before they go on to the iTunes store. It's very unlike what you would see in more of an Android platform where app makers have a lot more free access.
I think it sounds like I'm not going to get as many shoe ads, which I'm maybe a little sad about.
I don't know that that's true because it doesn't sound like they're not going to still have targeted ads. One of the things when I was doing all this research, I listened to a lot of podcasts and some were reputable, some were not. But one thing that kept coming up that's this big conspiracy theory that no one really has a lot of proof on yet, but it's possible, is that Facebook asks to use your microphone. It's just part of their app platform.
Yes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who have come out now and said, I've seen ads show up on Facebook for things I've never looked for online. I've only mentioned them maybe on a phone call, or I've mentioned them just as I'm walking around, maybe using Facebook at the same time, and ads for that product have shown up. And it's scary to think that that's something that could possibly be going on.
That is very scary and definitely a conspiracy theory because
sure.
Okay, how would that even work? So Facebook has access to your microphone. So you would have to have Facebook open for the microphone to be on, right? It couldn't just be like in like all the time, right? And then it would have to pick up keywords.
A lot of people will open and then not close.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is it would have to be some sort of voice recognition keyword, but that's really not that difficult to do.
It doesn't necessarily tell you. You could be like, oh, hey, we got invited to my friend's wedding, but we're not going to go. And then it starts bombarding you with like wedding planning stuff. You're not the one getting married. So like, I think that would be really hard and the amount of data that would have to be processed for people's conversations to be turned into ads is like mind blowing beyond belief. I'm not saying that maybe Facebook hasn't done that. But that would be really, really massive. Like that would be better technology than the NSA has, right? Like unless they're working together.
Well, maybe. The only reason that I'm still continually just a little bit hesitant of it is because there are devices that you can use on a regular basis in your home. You have things like
Google Home or the Alexa.
We have the Google Home, but the Alexa is another one, and they're always listening because at any point you could say, hey, Google, or okay, Google, and then it'll say, it'll turn on, it'll activate, and then you say whatever it is you need. But that's the only reason why I'm still a little bit like, yes, it's a conspiracy, but it is a little possible. I want to do a test.
So I want to, open up my microphone and just continually play I like big butts and I cannot lie and see what kind of ads pop up for me. Is it going to be butt sculpting? Is it going to be like cosmetics?
I just hope it's big butts. I just hope that your like entire Facebook
big butt
is filled with big butt
websites.
If that was possible,
that is a little insane for them to have to pick through what you say on a daily basis. And plus, like, I mean, for crying out loud, like so many people work from home. We have like private corporate conversations. Like it would be such a violation of so many different laws to be taking the information that you say around your Google Home or your Alexa or your Facebook and turning that into ads and not being a violation of like every single law of privacy that exists currently. And I'm sure they will invent more laws if we need them because that's insane. Okay. Another thing that I heard that was a little bit funny to me is there's this allegation that Facebook is biased. So did you read about that?
I did. So part of what is being said is that Facebook is biased. I don't know if you remember seeing this in the congressional hearings. Probably not, since you watched the lip sync version. I don't think it was on the bad
lip reading part.
Yeah. So there was, during the congressional hearing, they mentioned, and I'm not going to remember their names, but there are two female conservative pundits who do their own video show, and I don't remember their name. Diamond
and Silk?
Yes, that's it. Diamonds and Silk. And they have lodged complaints against Facebook saying that because they're conservative, they've taken some of their videos down. So there's actually an article on Axios. The title is Exclusive: Facebook Commits to Civil Rights Audit, Political Bias Review. And in that, they talk about how during the congressional hearing, we heard that Facebook unfairly targets conservatives. And while this is very far from being proven, the former Republican Senator John Kyle and his Washington law firm, along with the Heritage Foundation, are on the case, Beth. They're on the case.
Oh my gosh. I'm just imagining them
conservative bias
in trench coats, like McGruff, the dog, and they're like the trench coats are flying in the wind and their hair's whipping around and they're on it. They are on the case.
They're doing it. They're wasting all kinds of money. Who cares? Whatever.
Perfect.
So I don't know if you remember Senator Kyle. Do you remember?
I don't.
Yeah. So he spread his own fake news years and years ago when he was a Republican senator for the state of Arizona. He claimed that abortion services are well over 90% of what Planned Parenthood does.
Oh.
And he said that on the Senate floor. And of course, PolitiFact did the research way back then. This was back in 2011. And hopefully this doesn't shock you, but it's actually pants on fire false.
What?
Yeah, I know. Crazy. It's actually 100%. That's all they do.
Right.
Yeah. No.
Stop.
I know.
No.
It's actually about 3% of Planned Parenthood services. When they went through and they did all the numbers, that's what they came up with, was it's 3% of their services.
Oh my God. Like, seriously, like, even if you take the statistics of the number of abortions per year and compare that to the number of women that go to Planned Parenthood, you would be able to see very clearly that the 90% figure isn't possible.
You would think.
You know, oh my, what are the, okay.
I don't know.
No.
So
we need to do a Planned Parenthood episode, by the way, just FYI.
We do. For real.
That would be a good one. For real.
And so I don't know if you also know about Heritage Foundation, but the Heritage Foundation is a conservative think tank. And would you like to guess who's on the board?
Okay, wait. No, let me guess. Okay. Eric Trump.
No.
Okay, hold on.
Can he even write the word board?
I think heritage would be the hard one to spell for him. But he's like, wait, board like B-O-R-E-D?
Like, I am bored.
I am bored?
On this board. What? I am bored on this board.
I just imagine Eric Trump at like Christmas being like, what? And they're like, oh, look, Eric, here's another present for you. And he's like,
yay, present.
Yay, present.
Yay.
This is shiny. And they're like, oh, remember, you have to open it. He's like, what? Okay. All right, I have one more guess. Okay. I'm going to go with Mitch McConnell's wife.
No, but it's kind of close. It's Rebecca Mercer. So Robert Mercer's daughter, who is, obviously
Daphne.
They're not
Daphne from the Scooby Gang of Trump supporters.
She's a terrible, terrible. I mean, the Mercer family has just done awful things to America. Thanks, guys. Thanks. We really appreciate it. Yeah. So both obviously completely unbiased on their own, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
So if this is true, if Facebook is biased against conservatives, like why would they be?
Well, you know what? I'm really glad you asked that, Beth. I think that if we take a look, we can see that so many of the conspiracy websites that we're familiar with, that we talk about on a pretty regular basis, like, I don't know, InfoWars, Breitbart, what's some others? The Blaze. You know what they are? They're all conservatives. Can you believe that? They're all conservative.
No. We should contact Will Sumner and let him know about these sites so he can get them on his blog. Right, Richter?
Right.
Yeah.
So the problem is that when you allow them to have more free reign to spread fake news, like they've had in the past, that could be really dangerous. I mean, just ask a Sandy Hook parent if they like Alex Jones, because I'm pretty sure they don't. Ask a Parkland student if Fox News and Breitbart have been fair to them.
Right.
Yeah.
But we need to be fair to them and make sure that they get 50 million likes for each post on Facebook. Otherwise, they're being targeted.
Right.
I saw the Diamond and Silk, those two ladies were interviewed by Congress about this issue. And that just blows my mind. And I can't help wondering if they weren't thinking, how unreal is this? Like, we made a complaint against Facebook and now we're testifying against Congress. And we know it's bullshit. And we're testifying against Congress about our bullshit, like, thing that we were bitching about.
Right.
But we're Diamond and Silk, so we're up here doing it. Well,
they've learned from the best. I mean, surely if Trump doesn't have to apologize, why should they, right?
Right.
They haven't done anything near as bad as that.
But seriously, like, why would Facebook be targeting conservative news? Like, why would they be doing that? Like, what is that going to do for Facebook? Like, to elevate liberal posts and to devalue conservative posts? Like, what would that do for them?
Well, the thinking was, and this is when things went so automated, was there were instances years and years back that it was publicized because people inherently have bias, and the people who were doing this were in Silicon Valley. They are very much in a liberal bubble. They were pushing back more on conservative media news. And that was something that did come out in the press. That's what led to those automatic algorithm. That's what led to them starting to use more algorithms and less people, was because that was a big story, and these conservatives felt like, oh yeah, we're vindicated, but they're still trying to say it now. And it is clearly not true, because there is clearly a huge amount of fake news that is coming from one side. That's not to say there isn't fake liberal news. Obviously there is.
There is.
But this is a whole nother level.
This is where, again, you have, it's like the two competing conspiracy theories problem, because you have them saying, well, they're targeting conservative news, but then you also have, which is maybe not a conspiracy theory, but the fact that Facebook wants to make money and they don't care how. So why would they not want to make money off of conservative news? The money spends the same at the end of the day. And I will say that there probably is a liberal bias in Silicon Valley. I think that's probably true. But then you also have people like Peter Thiel, who is a big Silicon Valley person and who is a big nut job, calls himself a libertarian. I don't think he's a libertarian. I don't think he's just Peter Thiel. He has his own category of just crazy island guy.
No, absolutely. It does have a lot of that. But I will say, for one thing I do want to say positively about Facebook is they do seem to at least be taking a lot of this seriously. One of the things I did read that made me feel really good was that Facebook, since 2016, has been under investigation, and it's been a congressional investigation into their advertising demographic targeting. And the way that they're looking into the conservative bias, it's also being done to look into this demographic targeting. It's called a civil rights audit, and that's being led by Laura Murphy, who's the former director of the ACLU Washington Legislative Office. So she's not still with the ACLU. So she is doing this, by independently.
Right.
So the reason I wanted to bring that up is because I thought this was a really great thing that they're doing. And they've obviously had a really crappy history of allowing this kind of demographic targeting. And I'll explain what that means in just a second. But it was really disappointing to me that the thing that we're hearing the most about is this conservative bias from Congress people, and not about the civil rights violations that might have been going on. Like,
right.
I would have liked to have heard that, maybe Diamond and Silk weren't able to get a fair house or fair rental prices because of the sort of civil rights violations that they had going on with their advertising campaigns. So just to explain what that means is, what they did is Facebook provided realtors or people who might be renting out individual houses with ad targeting options that allowed them to narrow their ads to exclude, among others, Black, Hispanic, and Asian Americans. The ad targeting mechanism may have also allowed realtors, it's gross, right?
Yeah.
They may have also allowed realtors or homeowners looking to rent out or sell their properties to exclude people with disabilities as well. Yeah. And you know how I feel about that.
That was bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will, a couple of things here. So I can see where if you have a hair care company that you might want to specifically target a certain culture because maybe your hair care products are for that culture. But that's a very small subset of advertisers that have a legitimate reason for targeting a culture, right?
Yeah.
That example of realtors is so disturbing that they were using that. And I'm trying to think. So, because we do the Facebook ads when we do, whenever we release an episode, we do a little ad to help boost it up, get more people to hear us and everything. And
Right.
I feel like, I mean, it's not an option I've ever clicked, but I feel like it's there and that I've seen that in like the back of my head, like that I've seen that option of being able to do that. And I never even thought about it in that way. I was just always like, yeah, anybody, I don't care.
Right.
I'm not going to target a certain culture.
Right.
So
because who does that, right?
But I never even thought about it. And you're right, like it is disturbing that Diamond and Silk, who themselves are Black, were there to testify about being targeted as conservatives, but not as being targeted as being Black for this type of thing. I will say too, look at the makeup of Congress. It's mostly conservative and it's not Black, Hispanic, or Asian.
Yeah,
so
not for long though.
I mean,
I'd love to see that change.
It will change, but I'm just saying, like, of course they're focusing on the conservative problem because that's what they are in Congress.
Right.
And they're not focusing on the fact that Hispanics are not being rented to in certain areas because those people aren't in Congress.
Right.
Or there's very few of them that have that wherewithal to say like, hey, this is a problem in my neighborhood, in my area, and I need to go legislate on behalf of the people that I'm representing for this issue. So
exactly.
All right.
Yeah. So it was something I wanted to bring up because it's something I had never heard before, but that could be my bubble. That could be,
right.
Just that it had never made big news. I don't want to say that it just wasn't out there because it does sound like this has been going on since 2016, but I'm glad that they are doing something about it because certainly it doesn't seem like a very fair practice to do.
Well, I have some good news for you. And maybe after hearing that, we need a little bit of good news. So are you ready?
I am. Yay. What is it?
Cambridge Analytica shut down. Like the company shut down.
Yeah.
And we get a yay!
Yay!
And the SCL group, which was their parent group in the UK, also shut down. Can I get a yay?
Yay!
Now,
is this a real shutdown?
Okay, so yes. Okay, so Cambridge Analytica and SCL did shut down. But, and it's a really big but.
You did say you like big butts. I heard you say it. So.
Cannot lie. Absolutely. That is not the jam of the episode, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I have a couple articles here. There's two, one from Business Insider, and this is back in March 21st, 2018. It says the power players behind Cambridge Analytica have set up a mysterious new data company. And the picture there is of Nick Ayers, who's the chief of staff to Mike Pence, Trump advisor Kellyanne Conway with Rebecca Mercer. She's back. Okay, so... Oh my God. Not only Rebecca, but her sister Jennifer as well are now on a board for a new company called Emerdata, Emerdata. Now, Emerdata is in the same place that SCL was, like same office. So there's a lot of speculation that Emerdata is just basically the new Cambridge Analytica, that they shut down Cambridge Analytica, they shut down SCL, but basically they've opened up this company that's like exactly the same thing called Emerdata. So basically they just renamed it.
You know what this reminds me of, right?
What?
Do you remember Blackwater?
I do.
Yeah, Eric Prince's company. Remember after they got in all that trouble for, torturing and killing innocent civilians, they just changed their name. They've changed their name twice now.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because right in this article, it says Emerdata is connected to controversial Trump supporter Eric Prince. It's almost like maybe he was like, hey guys, I know what you can do. You can just change the name.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know who Eric Prince is related to, right?
Yeah, Betsy DeVos. It's his brother. That's her
Yeah.
brother. Yeah. So
this is when they talk about the swamp, this is literally these are the drugs of the swamp.
Yeah. So he had donated to Make America #1 PAC, and that was a Mercer-funded group that supported DJ's presidential campaign. And during undercover filming by Britain's Channel 4 News, they revealed how that PAC was used to seed online attack ads against Hillary Clinton. So basically, you have the Mercers that have said, okay, Cambridge Analytica, we got to take it down. Let's rename it. I mean, they didn't even move the damn building. Like, they just reused SCL's headquarters, basically. So another article this one's from May 2nd. It's by The Register, and it says Cambridge Analytica dismantled for good. Nope, it just changed its name to Ameridata. There is an update in this one so from March 21st to May 2nd, Alexander Wick, who was the CEO of Cambridge Analytica, he was also listed as a director in Ameridata, and that has been removed. So that's kind of the update, is that he's been removed, but everybody else is still there, including both the Mercers. So I was like kind of excited when I heard that Cambridge Analytica has shut down, but it's just basically being moved to a new operation with a new name. So
yeah. And in the meantime, they're declaring bankruptcy so that they don't get sued and they take all the money that they're going to use for the new company.
Yeah, and this actually, it sums it up at the end here. It says, so it seems the shutdown may be less a business catastrophe than a marketing exercise. And the only other thing I will say about this article is it made me laugh because they shortened Cambridge Analytica to Cambridge Anal. And I was like,
that might be the best abbreviation I've heard.
Like, really? That's what you went with? But I like big butts, so it works for me.
We're bringing it all around.
All around. This episode title is either going to be about Facebook or big butts. I'm not sure what's happening.
I don't know. It's going to depend on how I feel right before I do the blog, I guess. I might be really inclined to big butts right about then.
The other thing I found, which it just kind of made me chuckle more than anything, is that there's already a Wikipedia page called Facebook/Cambridge Analytica Data Scandal. And it's actually pretty informative. So it reminded me that Cambridge Analytica first was supporting Ted Cruz, because the Mercers were supporting Ted Cruz before he dropped out and they went over to DJT. And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah. But it just kind of goes through some of the timelines and what's happened. And it's not super long yet, but it just cracked me up that this scandal, which is like still like super recent, already has a Wikipedia page.
Of course. So Beth,
yeah,
what do you think we should do to protect our data? Like, have you changed anything to sort of protect yourself since all of this happened?
No. Have you?
Or do you? I haven't. I
mean, like, I don't know. I kind of feel like as consumers, there's maybe not much that we can do. We need Facebook to step up and protect us for us, right?
Right.
I mean, I've never been one to take those quizzes. I've always been like really weary of that it wasn't really worth to find out, how and when I'm going to die by an app and then give them access to everything in my Facebook profile.
Yeah.
So I've skipped a lot of, like, I think I've taken maybe one or two of those quizzes, and then I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I don't want to give them access to everything. But you don't get a lot of choice these days in saying actually no to access if you want to use services. And it's like, we keep getting these updated, like Google data services has like, we got, just for the podcast, I've been getting all these emails about these updated security, like systems and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, it's not like I have a choice. Like, I need to use this stuff. So
Right.
We need the companies to really step up and make sure that the consumers are protected, because there's so little that we can control as a consumer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm right there with you. I would love to be able to teach everyone in my family how to use Instagram, so I could just put my pictures up there and then not have to be on Facebook as much, except for, work purposes.
Right.
But I don't. I can't get, people all over my family who some of them are reaching into their elderly ages, and they like Facebook. They like to be able to go on. They like to be able to look at photos of I mean, right. You know what I mean when I say I don't live near my family. I have friends and family all over. So quitting Facebook just isn't really an option unless I can drag my whole family with me, which just doesn't seem likely.
Right. And I mean, I have to be honest, like, I know a lot of people don't like Facebook, or they are always whining about it, but I like Facebook. I don't have a problem using it in the fact that I really love the on this day part where I get to look back.
Yeah.
I am not good at keeping a diary. It is like my diary, and I love that. And I do think about, as I get like further, I've been on Facebook for like, I don't know, like 9 years or something. So I'm starting to see like these posts from like way back. And it's just fun to see like, oh, and then sometimes I'm like, wow, I was really whining that day. Or like, wow, that was being a bitch, like, or like, oh yeah, that was that day that we went and did that. Or, seeing my kids at different stages of their life that, if I didn't have Facebook and I didn't have that on the day, I wouldn't get to see that stuff every day. And I would forget some of those things. And it's almost like, I think about it when I don't post for a while or something, and I do kind of think like, hey, like maybe I do want to post something so that it'll remind me and pop up in a couple years that this is what was going on, So I don't know. I get it. I get why people don't like it, but I also, I don't know. I'm okay with it, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's really, my grandmother used to keep a ledger, and it would just have important things that happen and the date they happened on. So when children were born, or maybe she got important news in the mail, or whatever it was. And she had a couple of these ledgers, and I think my aunt has them. After she passed away, she got them. And I would love to be able to sit down and look at them sometime, because they were so important to her, and they had all of this information that she loved, and they had little scraps of newspaper. And I feel like Facebook is the modern day version of that, especially with the on this day. It is nice, because I'm like you. I don't have time to keep a diary, and I would freaking lose it anyway. Like, I try to keep a book diary, and I was like, no, I can't do this. I'm just going back to Goodreads. That's all I want. I want to digitally be able to keep track of my books.
Right.
I just say what I'm reading and when I finish it and what I thought of it. I don't need, if I write it down, then I'm just going to lose that damn thing. And then I'm going to be like 5 books later. Oh God, what did I think about this book? And I'm not going to remember.
It's funny, because I think we have passed a year of having the Facebook page. And I wonder if you get on this day for your like business pages too. That would be kind of funny. I don't think you do, because like basically the way it works is, on my individual Facebook page, I created the account that's for the podcast, right? So it's like kind of linked to mine. And I don't see the posts from like, I can't believe it's not news. I only see them for me. So I don't think you do, but that's maybe a feature they need to add on, so that you can see it for your business pages too. Like,
Yeah, that would be really cool. Especially if you had a special event.
Yeah.
Pull up those pictures from years past.
Right.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
So they need to keep working on that. I have some ideas, Mark Zuckerberg. I think you should come on the podcast and talk to me. I'm much more, I think I'm more, I don't think I need to testify in front of Congress like Diamond and Silk, but I have some ideas for you on posting things, especially on the business side.
And we do actually know how the internet and Facebook work.
Right.
So, we are at least as smart as most of the Congress people who talk to you.
Just a shout out in case Mark Zuckerberg is listening. Kelly and I would be willing to wear a gray t-shirt so you feel right at home. And we can add you right in on Facebook Messenger. I know you have it.
Yeah. Don't delete it from your phone.
Yeah, don't delete it. So, and hey, while we're talking about it, head on over to our Facebook page at Podcast Fake News and give us a like, and also on Twitter. If you have any ideas or you want to chat with us, send us an email at podcastfakenews@gmail.com. And then we also have a Patreon page where you can sign up to be a Jelly of the Pod for $1 a month, where you get extra content and kind of help us pay some bills around here. So we always appreciate it if anybody wants to go over and sign up. And I do want to mention really quick, we have a new cover page, right, on our Facebook and Twitter account.
Yeah.
A random person donated professionally made.
He's so random.
Can I say who did it? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
Kelly's husband is a graphic designer, right? And he designed an actual like professional cover page picture for us. It looks really great. And apparently he's working on the logo. And so you might see some updates there, and they might look a little bit better than, let's say, the one that I did on the Word document. That one's long gone.
It looked fine. It just, we wanted to make it a little bit more cohesive so people knew what they were. So it's all working. He was, I did ask him to do it back when I started in December. So this is a good timeline. I mean, it's only May. So I pay him in kisses. He's happy with that.
I'll take it on whatever timeline he has. Yeah. So we're going to get a little bit of a professional boost from Kelly's husband, which is really, really nice. So thank you, Shay.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
He is.
I like him.
So, hey, you want to do the jam of the week?
I do. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
I'll go. Sure.
Okay.
So my jam of the week is I pulled a song from the Heavy called How Do You Like Me Now? Because it just really kind of made me laugh with everything about Facebook. I feel like they're out there going like, so how do you like me now? Come on, tell me the truth. What do you think? And people are like, eh.
Yeah.
But it's a fun song, and if you, I have it on my workout mix, so it's like one of those songs that I want to like work out to or like get out of bed, like in the morning. If I cannot get out of bed, I'll throw this song on and be like, all right, get moving, come on, let's go.
I knew the song when you sent it to me, which is unusual because I listen to a lot of music, but I think we have very different music tastes, which is fine. I don't expect everyone to listen to the things that I listen to, but this was one that you sent me. And I was like, oh, I know this one. It was like this and the Pixies. That's all I got.
So it starts out, it says, now there was a time when you loved me so. I couldn't do no wrong, and now you need to know. See, I've been a bad, bad, bad man. And yeah, I'm in deep. I found a brand new love for this man, and I can't wait till you see. I can't wait. So how do you like me now? So, it was just kind of like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really fun it's a really fun dance song that isn't, it's not like super duper pop. It's very, it's like a good rock song that has a pop tinge to it.
Yeah. I don't think of the Heavy as a pop band at all.
But it's got just that song has a little bit of a pop. Oh no.
Oh, you can't play it. We'll get in trouble.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It accidentally came on because I was trying to get the URL. Sorry.
So they're a British rock band from Bath, England, and yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that they were from England. That makes a lot more sense now.
It does say that this song is becoming their most signature song. So,
that makes sense.
I'd like to listen to some more music by them. This is one of the bands that I discovered through Pandora. I use the Pandora music app, and it just is one of the songs that popped up on Pandora a couple times. And I was like, I love that song. And there's another song of theirs that popped up. But yeah, their genre is indie rock, funk rock, alternative rock, blues rock. I like that kind of stuff. So
yeah, it was nice. It was nice. Who was I thinking of that it reminded me of? Was it maybe like what are the two guys who do the blues rock? What is wrong with me that I can't remember anybody's name tonight? They have all these, what is it? They sang Gold on the Ceiling.
It reminds,
oh my God.
I'm pulling up.
Like I have their albums.
Oh, Black Keys.
That's it. The Black Keys. Yeah. They have that sort of vibe to them.
It actually reminds me of the song Hold On, I'm Coming by Sam and Dave from 1966. It's always reminded me of that song, which I love that song as well, which back in the day, I used to work in a DA's office and I used to do ride-alongs with the police. And I always was like, that would be the best song to have playing with your like lights going somewhere. Hold on, I'm coming. Hold on, I'm coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That would be great. Yeah. Or an ambulance.
Right. Exactly. Ambulance or fire, whatever, that's just like the best song. They just need to have that. So anyway, that is my jam of the week. What do you got for us?
So I needed to do something kind of fun this week. And it's just been, I don't know how it's been for you, but it's been a really long week, like 2 weeks actually. And I've had to just kind of take a break from a lot of the podcasts and a lot of, I started listening to some book review type podcasts, and I was listening to one and they mentioned Terry Pratchett, and I went back and I listened to the podcast about a book of his. And I remembered how much I really, really love him. And he was so funny, and he's such a great writer, and he has this tremendous mind, and he was such a beautiful person. And so I thought this week for my jam of the week, I would choose my favorite book of all time, because when I start reading it, I fall into a place where I'm immediately happy. And I really needed that this week. Yeah. So I think I'm going to start, I think I'm going to read it again. I don't reread books a lot, but this one I've read maybe 3 or 4 times, and which is really unusual for me. But the book is Good Omens. And it's actually a collaboration between Neil Gaiman, who's one of my other favorite writers, and Terry Pratchett. And the full name of the book is Good Omens, The Nice and Accurate Prophecies of Agnes Nutter, Witch.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I remember years and years and years ago when my son was first born, and I was listening to a lot of podcasts, and that would be like almost 8 years ago. Shh, don't tell anybody. I'm getting old. But, I remember way back then I was listening to a podcast where Neil Gaiman was talking about them writing Good Omens together. And the person said, do you know which passages are yours and which passages are Terry's? And he said, I do and I don't. Like, there are sentences. It's not like we wrote chapter and chapter the way that some people who co-write do. It was very intermeshed. Like, he would add sentences to my chapters, and they didn't remember after a certain point, like what is his and what is not his. And there are things I can pick out because Terry Pratchett has a way with words. He loves to use puns in his words, and he likes to make these funny jokes that you won't get until you're like 3 pages later. You're like, oh my gosh, that was crazy. What a great joke. And you'll go back and you'll reread it. But this book is just really great. And I mean, for a book that's all about the apocalypse and the coming of the Antichrist, it's truly funny, and it's so touching and over funny, and it just takes your mind off of everything and puts you in a whole different place.
Oh, nice.
In England. Yeah. And they are making a movie out of it right now.
Oh, really? Oh, fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And Neil Gaiman, it was actually Terry Pratchett's last wish for Neil Gaiman was that if they're going to make this, he has to be on the set. So he's something as he was the scriptwriter, but he's also a showrunner. Oh, okay. So he is like there all the time. And I've seen he's posted Instagram photos of the flaming sword that's in the book, and it's amazing. I'm so excited to see it. Yeah.
Nice. That sounds really good. I'll have to check it out. Perfect.
I think you would love it.
I think I would too. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and you can make some decisions for yourself about Facebook. But, until next time, don't forget, spread jam.
Not lies.